career wins. Jimmie Johnson to the flag will score his 77th win. Just amazing.
Boy, the fans are fired up there. This is a popular win out here in California.
And Jimmie Johnson with that Superman cape on. His last win, 77th win, still searching for speed, but seemed to have found something in that first round as he was the fastest in the first round. We'll see if that equates into potentially a pole in round 3. How do you find speed, though? We hear drivers, crews talking about, well, we need to find some speed. How do you find it?
Well, first you decide where you think you're going to work on it, because it's much different working up to the race weekend at Michigan versus at the racetrack. When you're at home, it could be finding downforce in the wind tunnel, finding a little more horsepower in the engine dyno, perhaps finding a better suspension package. But once you unload at the racetrack, you're committed to that aerodynamic setup, committed to that horsepower. So then it's handling of the race car. Does the driver like the way it's balanced? And Jeff, is it just fast? Maybe it's an attitude thing. Maybe the car drives fine, but it's slow. It needs to be lower to the racetrack with the back of the car or higher in the back of the car. There's a lot of things you can adjust attitude-wise to increase the lap time.
It all boils down to the grip. It boils down to the driver being able to drive the car very aggressively and it make enough grip. And how you get that grip, that's the hard part. Where are we lacking? Is it aero? Is it springs and shocks? Is it setup? Is it engine? That's the difficult part, is that analysis.
And could it be a line? I mean, a certain line around the track to find speed or to find that grip?
On a particular weekend, yes. But in a year where you've struggled, it's not a line. It's something bigger than that. Let's update real quick, Allmendinger, and tell the whole story. Mike Massaro gave us the information that he actually made a run earlier in qualifying and the car shut off for some reason. So he didn't get to complete that run. So the only run he made late in qualifying session was because he had a mechanical issue earlier in the Q session.
Yeah, so not a strategy thing. A mechanical issue cost that team, but this 88 with Alex Bowman, subbing for Dale Jr. Great run, only took one run in first practice. That's for a guy that has run a lot of Cup cars, but this, we talked about this downforce package, very low on downforce. We heard in practice, Sam Hornish, who hasn't been in a car much, struggling a bit with this package. Impressive for this young man to get in this car and show speed.
Used a lot of racetrack off it too. I'm curious if that was because he was in the throttle or because he was out of the throttle. Sometimes you use a lot of racetrack because you're trying to catch up with the car.
589 though, very impressive first lap out.
That's an improvement over his first qualifying session.
Could that be the tires then? Obviously, we had mentioned that he only made one run in the first session. Now coming back, this is his second run qualifying, and he goes out and he's faster. Joey Logano.
That's what's impressive to me is it's one thing to go out and run a decent lap, but now so far Logano is just barely ahead of him. Austin Dillon behind him, Kurt Busch behind him. So it looks like that 88 lap is pretty decent.
Right, Blaney fastest at a 35.83. 31 of Ryan Newman coming to the green.
I like the strategy going early in this session, though, because, again, this session is shorter than the first session. So if you are going to make 2 runs, you need time to come in and cool the engine off, cool the tires off. So going early is the right thing to do.
Mike Massaro.
Just an update on Ryan Newman. During the first session, after the first run he made, he admitted to his team, he said, look, I underdrove it a little bit. I can pick up some speed. You saw him do that on the second run. But in between these 2 sessions, he was doing something I thought was rather interesting, and it has become very common here in this series. He was looking at a software product that we know as Dartfish, which basically overlays his lap video-wise against some of the better laps. So he was studying those lines and trying to make sure he emulated that line in this particular run.
Basically, Rick, what that means is it's a ghost car. Anyone who's played video games know that you can put your best lap up there and it's kind of a see-through car and you can compare your lap to this. That's what this program does. It'll take the fastest car or any car you want to compare to, and his ghost car will appear on the screen next to yours, and you'll know, did you overdrive the entry? Did you beat off turn 2? It's a good, fast way to compare lap time.
And how about the two Ganassi cars on the front row right now, first and second?
Mentioned the lack of wins that Chip Ganassi Racing has had.
Listen to this car in the corner. Listen to it.
Look at the traffic.
Yeah. You're hitting the racetrack. That's the side skirts in the racetrack. But you're right. This traffic is not helping.
No, the 48's pulling out to take the green. There's some miscommunication there. I can't believe Jimmie Johnson wanted to be in front of the 19, and I'm 100% sure the 19 did not want to be that close to the rear bumper of the 48.
There'll be some interesting radio translation.
Yeah, because he was catching him going into 3.
So worst place, I mean, you don't want to catch anywhere, but he had to commit to turn 3 in that dirty air. We'll see how the lap of Jimmie Johnson is, though.
Now, it wouldn't have have hindered Jimmy.
No.
I mean, nothing was in front of him, so it wouldn't have hurt Jimmy, but it definitely hurt Carl Edwards.
And it's just a mistiming. You know, what happens is the spotter tells the driver when to go, and he has to time it. And then the driver leaves on the bottom. He has to run all the way around the racetrack on the bottom on the apron. And if the spotter says go, and it takes the driver a little bit longer to fire his engine up, a little bit longer to get it in gear, any of those little things can add up. And, of course, at 200 miles an hour, if you miss it by 2 seconds, that's a great deal of time on a racetrack.
Kyle Larson, Jamie McMurray are 1 and 2.
Matt Kenseth right here, just opposite of the 12th position.
Now everyone will be, well, it's going to be Ryan Newman that everyone's going to be compared to, as Newman is now 12th, as Chase Elliott went to second quickest.
About the two fastest, Larson and Elliott. What are their ages?
I was going to say, I think that's a total of about 42 or 43 years between the two of them. So
Larson at 24 and Chase Elliott, I believe, at 20. So
they're younger than you, Rick.
They are definitely younger than me.
I meant together. Yeah.
Yes. Greg Biffle.
We knew what you meant.
I just want to clear it up.
You shouldn't say it with so much enthusiasm.
Well, unfortunately, they're a lot younger than me.
Greg Biffle trying to advance into the top 12, and that lap's not going to do it. 21st quickest. It's Danica Patrick out on the track now.
Now it's going to be interesting with 2 cars left to run. Danica Patrick and Chris Buescher. That cut line is, solidly established right around a 35.90. So you look at those guys below the cut line, cars you would expect to run, more than once. Kenseth, Truex, Stewart, Kyle Busch. You mentioned, Jeff, right at the beginning of this session, the strategy of going early with enough time to make a second run. We'll see if they'll be able to do that.
And you just started down the list. You went Kenseth, Truex, Stewart. Well, guess what? Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Austin Dillon, Kurt Busch. I mean, there's a lot of fast cars that are going to go again.
All right, remember, Jimmy Johnson was out in front of Carl Edwards when he was on his Q run. This is what they had to say on the radio after that mishap.
Yeah, that's terrible. At that point, you could have just blended behind us when you were rolling there. Yeah, no joke, man. That's pit 4 there.
Well, and I think a lot of the frustration, it's a 2-mile racetrack.
Right.
You think at 2 miles you can find a spot, but one thing I will say, I'm not saying the 48 did it on purpose, but as we get closer to the chase, as we get in the chase, this isn't intramural sports. This is professional sports.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go out of my way to hurt a competitor, but I'm also not going to go out of my way to help a competitor. And if I'm in the gas and I'm at speed, oh well, I'll apologize after. And I don't believe that's what the 48 did right there, but we're going to talk about pit pick. We're going to talk about qualifying, practice. Any way you can distract one of your competitors, you're going to try to do it.
And he mentioned he could have just slowed down and blended in behind.
Right.
Yeah, that's not bad. The only way you can do that is to literally slow down on the apron. The spotter has to say, hey, look, we're going to mess up. We're going to mess up the 19 car. Or when you get on the back straightaway, look and say, uh-oh, we're going to mess somebody up. And then you'd have to back out and get into 3. Well, now you have killed the lap.
Right.
You have to come in and start over.
Right.
So that's not a sacrifice that a competitor's going to make.
Who do you want mad at you? Another team or your own team? I think Jimmy Johnson probably made the best bet there, but it still doesn't help. But with 2 minutes left, we're going to start to see this second wave. And right here you see it, Kyle Busch pulling off pit road. In front of him, already rolling off pit road, the 41 of Kurt Busch, the 14 of Tony Stewart. So you said it, Jeff. It's 10 minutes. Guys are going to try to make 2 runs, and here goes the second wave. The question is, if you're Casey Kagan, if you're Ryan Newman, do you make a run? Because you don't have time to wait.
You have to make a run. You have to be prepared to make a run. But, there's an old saying, Steve, in racing, that you bring your friends with you. And, you're right. If you're going to make somebody mad, you make the smallest group possible mad. And that's not the group on your team.
So Carl Edwards rolling also once again. We'll try to improve upon the mark that he put down on his first attempt in this second round. As Kurt Busch, he is now on the clock, trying to improve on a 36.135, currently 19th quickest.
We already saw Jimmy Johnson get in the way of the 19 car as we see Kurt Busch go down the backstretch. Pit road and the racetrack is getting full. With a minute to go, there are 4 cars on pit road. Remember, you don't want to, as you hear Kurt Busch not real happy with his corner right there. You see going by there's a line on pit road, and you don't want to get someone else's way, but more importantly, you have to get the green flag still in a green track condition. So you have 49 seconds to get back around and take a green flag.
And it's going to be close for a few guys that are just rolling off the pit road right now, unless they get up to speed quickly. But once again, you don't want to jump in front of one of your competitors, and you don't want to be in the wake of one of your competitors.
Yeah, so if you see two cars leaving the backstretch right now, Paul Menard is 4 car lengths behind the 19 of Carl Edwards because he's not sure he's going to take the green.
And 23 seconds until the laps stop counting.
Matt Kenseth is tracking into the green. The 78 is now taking the green.
How about Martin Truex Jr., who is fastest in practice and currently outside the top 12?
Yeah, but we've talked about this tire combination. He'll have a time to improve it. So both of those cars, their laps will count. They'll be the last 2 cars on the racetrack. Will be the 19 of Carl Edwards and the 27 of Paul Menard. But the 27 has hurt his chances being right behind the 19.
And the 19, you know, he's 10th fastest right now and on the racetrack. And it's easy to say from up here, but I think if I was a crew chief, I'd tell him to stop. You know, there's really no one out there that can beat him right now. I'd just tell him to come in.
No, right now, really, all he's doing is hurting the 27 of Paul Menard. The 27 pulls off. That lap's not going to be good enough for him. And with that, we've set our top 12. No one is going to improve it somehow. Ryan Newman successfully ends up 12th at that 35.90. Congratulations to him. I didn't think it would hold up.
Another cycle on the tires for Carl Edwards. He heated the engine back up again. They'll have to bring that back in, cool it off. The next round, only 5 minutes. You're going to get one shot at it in the final round. One lap. Could that benefit Carl Edwards? Going out there and maybe having a little bit of heat in the tires. We've seen a little more speed on the second runs, maybe even the third runs.
Well, right now we have Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, both at 35, 66, and a 69. So Kyle Larson has to be your favorite going into round 3.
Kyle Larson still looking for his first win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It helps to start up front here at Michigan.